Well, good morning, everybody. I'm happy that you could join us today, and we're obviously here at the intersection of Military Road and 16th Street, specifically to discuss the closure of traffic lanes on the 16th Street Bridge. This project has been long in coming and much needed, and is aimed at ensuring that our transportation infrastructure remains safe and reliable. Today's announcement is also a continued part of my pledge to deliver a government that's open and responsive. We are also going to talk about talk about the major improvements that will be made to Military Road and replacing the deteriorating bridge, which is behind me. The bridge has served the district well for 50 years, but it needs to be replaced. The project will consist of two major phases. First, the Military Road median barrier, and the second phase is replacing the actual bridge. The bridge sits at a critical crossing point for two major arteries that combine to carry more than 50,000 vehicles into and around the city each and every day. Over 33,000 vehicles use 16th Street every day, and Military Road sees another 19,000 vehicles. Let me talk about Phase 1, which is scheduled to last from October to March, which is now. The work that you see on Military Road started in October. DDOT and its contractors will be putting in a stone-faced median on Military Road between Oregon Avenue and 14th Street, installing new street lights and addressing critical drainage problems along the roadway. Also, during the first phase, DDOT is preparing 16th Street for the installation of the bridge. Now let's talk about where we are. Phase 2, it will involve the complete replacement of the bridge. In addition to replacing the existing 57-year-old bridge structure, DDOT will rebuild the roadway, install new drainage infrastructure, and upgrade traffic signals and streetlights on 16th Street near the bridge. This is a $15 million project, but it won't happen without disruptions to traffic flow. So I'm pleased to be joined here by the director of DDOT, Lace Jormstroh, and our engineer for the area, Paul Hoffman. So Leif and his team will discuss the lane closures in detail. But despite some of the inconveniences this project will cause, we're doing everything we can to replace this bridge quickly and with minimal disruptions. By using innovative planning, design, and construction methods, the district plans to cut more than 6 months off the total construction time. So using this method, large components are constructed off-site and then transported to the job site. This allows us to deliver a high-quality, safe, long-lasting piece of infrastructure. We use such technology to build our most recent bridge project at Calmia Road and to construct the Eastern Avenue Bridge over 295, and we expect to achieve similar results. So let me now turn to Director Jormstroh, who will talk a little bit more about the closures, and then we can take any questions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to get across three major points today, and these are all three things that the mayor talked about with me day one. It has to do with our safety agenda, our commitment to innovation, and the need to foster great partnerships. This project is a great example of us making sure safety is first. Our bridge reconstruction program is very aggressive. We're knocking out the list of structurally deficient bridges. This is the largest bridge that we've used this accelerated bridge construction technique, and it's because we've got to make sure that the bridges are safe and secure. We also want to make sure that motorists understand that when they're traveling through work zones, they need to slow down, they need to pay attention to their surroundings. It's not just because we're concerned about the construction workers who are going to be here. very busy over the next 4 to 6 months. But it's also that we need to recognize that lane closures, the merges, changing traffic conditions are things that motorists need to pay attention to. So the mayor's already spoken about Vision Zero. And this project, although it's a replacement of a bridge asset, it fits right into our Vision Zero agenda, which is to try to drive the number of traffic-related fatalities and injuries in this city to zero. So I'm very glad that we've got members of the media here who can help us get that message out about safety. The second theme that's in classic form here is the use of innovation. We have been really trying to make sure that we can build and rebuild, but also do it in a way that lessens the impact on motorists. You saw that approach when the mayor asked me with 395 to figure out a way to advance the 395 project, but without the complete closure of the 395 highway. And we've worked with the developer in that case to much more responsibly bring that construction forward. So we can innovate, we can build, but we can also do it in such a way that we're shortening the time that motorists are feeling an impact. This is the second example of that in this administration already. And then the third issue is partnership. And I'm really happy that members of the ANC leadership are here, that our contractor, Fort Myers, is here. We have reached out to the Maryland officials to coordinate the traffic management plan along this corridor, because most of the motorists that are coming here during the workday, are coming from Maryland communities. And we've also had great partnership with the Federal Highway Administration. We couldn't have done this project, this accelerated bridge construction project, without the help of the federal government. So with that, keep in mind, safety, innovation, partnership. That's what we're focused on right now. I'd like Paul to come up and talk about the specific elements of the project, and then we can take your questions, if that's all right. Paul?
I just have a couple points that I want to go over about the project. As the mayor said, it's been underway since last year in October, and really now we're starting on the bridge phase of the project, and the most important date coming up is March 27th. That's a Friday, and on that date there'll be lane restrictions starting to be put in place that we expect just after midnight, 12:01 on the 27th. The travelers can expect to see lanes reduced to one lane in each direction, and the traffic control again will be in place by the Friday morning commute. We are using the accelerated construction, and the components are going to arrive on site about May 1st, and we expect the total time on the bridge to be about 4 months. As you can see coming to the site, there are message board signs up on the main approaches. They're out on Military, they're on 16th, and some fixed signs have been placed out in Maryland telling the drivers about the impending date and asking them to use Georgia Avenue or Metro. We estimate that there will be delays for the folks that do stay on 16th Street. We hope that up to 25% or even more use the alternative or the alternate route, and we have estimated some impacts to intersections, and we look to be adjusting some signal timings for some of the key intersections. We have worked closely with the WMATA, and I think you'll be looking for a flyer from WMATA diverting up to 6 bus routes that you normally use 16th Street. And there is a website for the additional information. It's called www.16thandmilitary.com. And you can see day-to-day information, project photos, and a Twitter account on that website. And now just a few other, to lay it on a little thicker, we want to switch over to the alternative route. We know the key is crossing Military Road. We're going to look at all the intersections across Military Road, and we think we can adjust those timings. It won't remove all delay. It won't remove all backups. It just will help. And we work closely with the contractor to keep these ramps open on the north side through the entire construction. They were scheduled to be closed at different intervals, but now they can be open the whole time. We do want to point out that the one loop ramp across the road, that will have to close during construction as there'll be lane shifts and so on underneath. So we do want to close that. The detour will be over Fort Stevens and 14th. There will be turn restrictions across the way on Missouri, those south side ramps. There'll be no left turn at the exit ramp. Drivers can cross or turn right and make their way back to 14th Street. And finally, as Life said, the safety of the traffic public, the construction workers, and DDOT staff is number one concern on the job site. And we're making regular inspections and no problems. Advise the contractor to correct them promptly. That's all I have, Life.
Thank you. Yes, we'll take any questions.
So starting March 27th, the bridge work will begin. And is that also when the street lamps and traffic signals will be also getting revamped here on this road?
Well, the street lights and the street lights and traffic lights are part of phase 2 of the project, so it will happen over the next 4 months.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Yes.
Can anybody speak to the condition of the bridge right now and why
Sure.
why it's so important to
Sure.
get this thing replaced?
Sure. Paul.
Yeah, as the mayor said, the bridge is 57 years old. It's of such a structure type that it really is almost unrepairable. In its state and condition, it is safe right now, but as any bridge has residual strength, and we're down to where we want to replace it. So it has served us well. Its time is over, so we do want to replace it.
Let me just add to that, and I'll get to your question. Leif mentioned that we have a number of bridges in our city that need our attention, and we need to have a regular plan to address those bridges. I had the experience, and I represented this area for 8 years on the council, where we saw 2 bridges over Rock Creek Park fail. So we know what happens if we don't address those bridges. They will fail. We will have the traffic problems that go with it, and somebody could get hurt. So it's very important that we move forward at this time. I think it's also important to emphasize something that Leif said. There is no way that if you reduce 16th Street down to one lane of travel each way that you're not going to have significant backups. So we want people to think about their commutes, especially our neighbors to the north in Maryland. We are going to try to attract as many people to public transportation, but also to think about all alternative ways to get downtown. Yes.
Just for clarification, during the worst of it, basically we're going to have one lane in each direction on 16th Street Bridge, also one lane in each direction on Military? Is that,
Paul, is that correct?
The worst of it?
Currently, we've set up for 2 lanes. Let me get this right: 2 lanes westbound on Military and 1 lane eastbound. We have enough room for 3 lanes under there, and we've set it into that configuration now.
Sorry, it's 2 lanes west.
2 lanes west.
Yeah, 2 lanes west, 1 lane east.
Can you also
And
talk
then
about?
also, let me just add there, Paul, you talked about the ramps that would close as well off of this. You want to just emphasize the ramps that will be closed?
Yeah, the only ramp that should be closed is the loop ramp just across the way, where it goes northbound 16th to westbound Military. That's the only closure.
You had also mentioned adjusting traffic signal time.
Well, we're looking at all the intersections from Oregon over to Georgia, and we know that traffic will probably try to divert off of 16th and try to use the other intersections, even though we've asked them to use Georgia. There are some intermittent intersections, and we'll be looking at all of those as traffic builds on those.
And Ms. Mayor, can I also ask you, we've been covering this since October. Obviously, we've been covering this since October. Obviously, safety is a big concern. Can you talk about why this project, what is it? Is it the city? Is it the way people drive that really you want to emphasize safety and people paying attention to signs and so forth?
Well, sure. Anytime you have a major construction project, there are a lot of people in places where you don't expect them to be. And that's why it's so important to mind your speed, but also to pay attention and to not be distracted, so that our workers can be safe. I don't think this project is any different from other projects, other than it's going to be around for 4 months, and we don't want people to get lulled into not paying attention as they go through. But again, as many people who can avoid being on 16th Street during the construction period, the better.
And this is one of the city's.
Go ahead.
This is one of the city's emergency evacuation routes. Is there any chance that this project could be delayed even longer than that 4 months? What's
Okay,
being
the
done?
question is about the timeline and do we expect any delays, right? Okay.
We've worked out a pretty tight schedule. The contractor only wants to be out in this construction for 4 months. There isn't much room for contingency. We're going to watch that very closely. Luckily, we're going to have the start date outside of winter in spring. We only have probably the very worst storms to face as far as weather goes, so it should be getting warmer. Our confidence is up. We think we can get through in the 4 months.
Matt Acker, Fox 5, last question.
Hey, just forgive me. I thought I heard you say buses are going to be rerouted. This is a major bus line. Did I hear that? Are they going to go down Georgia or how?
Yes.
Are we going to move?
WMATA has been putting a flyer out with every public meeting we've held of the 6 routes that will actually be diverted off 16th Street. So this is on the 16th and Military website under resources under WMATA.
Thank you all.